Revelations Tattoo, San Diego Tattoo Convention. There are moments in a man's life that feel like prophecy fulfilled, when pain, persistence, and the ghosts of the past all converge into something sacred. This was one of those moments. Revelations Tattoo held a booth at the 2014 San Diego Tattoo Convention. Not just any booth, but our booth. And for the first time, I wasn't the apprentice chasing shadows or the outsider peering in. I was a peer, shoulder to shoulder with legends. As a kid, it was Kat Von D who first lit the spark, the muse who pulled me into the sacred geometry of lettering in ink. And now, I found myself working beside Big Mies, the master from Ohio, whose lines cut like scripture, whose name moved through the halls of the industry like a psalm for the initiated. To share space with him, to hear our machines singing in harmony, it was surreal. But it wasn't just ink being laid down that weekend. One by one, clients came, bearing pain, silence, and stories too heavy for words. After each piece, I would ask a simple question: can I pray for you? Some cried, some laughed, some nodded, as if they had waited their entire lives for that question to be asked. And when we prayed, something began to shift, not just in them, but in me. It was as if their hearts, fragile and transparent like crystal, bore the scratches and scars of 1,000 quiet wounds, etchings from years of sorrow, betrayal, or shame, marks invisible to the world but inscribed deeply within. Yet in that moment of prayer, those very marks seemed to refract the light differently, transforming into something unexpected. Like the hand of a divine artisan tracing over each scar, those jagged impressions became delicate filigree, refined, intricate, even beautiful. The flaws did not vanish, they were redeemed, woven into the very beauty of the vessel. This was the zone my teacher once spoke of, rare air, a mythic altitude of purpose, a place where preparation meets opportunity and craft is transfigured into calling. He had spoken of it with reverence, as if only the chosen few would ever breathe it. And now I was breathing it, from solitary confinement to sacred commission, from the vomit-stained floors of La Jolla to the red carpets of recognition. The path had been jagged, holy, and utterly impossible. And yet, there I stood, machine in hand, scripture in heart, praying over the broken and bearing witness to something far greater than myself. I wasn't just tattooing flesh, I was engraving hope, etching healing into crystal hearts. And in that rare air, I understood, true artistry is not about perfection, it's about transformation. Bethel Church Trip, November 2014. The atmosphere at Bethel felt alive, charged with something ancient, invisible, and unmistakably holy: worship. There wasn't just music, it was movement, a current, a living force. Voices rose like thunder, like weeping, like war, and the presence of God swept through the room like wind you could not see but could not deny. People didn't simply sing, they surrendered. And in that flood of sound and light, I watched bodies and cultures alike begin to heal. There was something profoundly unapologetic about their worship, undistracted, unashamed, pure. The culture itself was a balm, a refuge for the fractured. Every raised hand felt like an offering, every tear, a key. It wasn't religion, it was rescue. I had driven up alone the first time, long before we made the journey as a family. I had no hotel, I didn't need one. I slept in the parking lot, 12 hours curled in the front seat, breath fogging the glass, waiting for the doors to open and for heaven to breathe. At sunrise, I saw him, Bill Johnson, the man whose ministry had lit fires across the world, standing quietly at the door, surprised to find someone had beaten him there. I asked for a photo, for my mom. He smiled, said yes, and without fanfare, bought me breakfast from his own cafe. I had only asked for coffee. Later, I learned he told the barista, "Whatever he asks for, it's on me." I didn't ask for more. I held that cup, almost like communion, shivering, smiling, stunned. When I returned home, I told Heather everything, and she didn't roll her eyes. She listened, and something in her softened. Not long after, we returned together, this time as a family. The road felt like pilgrimage, like an ascent towards something not marked on any map. There we met Chris Valentin, who didn't look at us as broken people, but as a prophetic assignment. He and others prayed, and the words came like an anchor in a storm. God will restore your marriage. At the time, we were still unraveling, living at the edge of goodbye, but those words planted something immovable in us. What we experienced wasn't hype. It wasn't a conference, it was soul surgery. The pain didn't vanish, but something beneath it began to mend. This wasn't just church, it was the threshold between two worlds, where heaven bled into earth. And for the first time in a long time, everything felt possible again.